So, Stacy, it's really funny talking to you about your work on UnReal the day after The Bachelorette just premiered for, I guess, the 50th season on. I wonder, after having worked on this show for now 3 seasons coming up, are you still able to watch reality TV, or is it just too close to home for you?
That's so funny. You know, I have not watched it. I actually had not watched The Bachelor or The Bachelorette or any of the Bachelor universe shows for a while before I came to work on UnReal. I mean, I was aware, of course, that they cast the first African-American Bachelorette, but I haven't been watching for a while because for me, UnReal was always a character drama first and foremost that just happened to have the wallpaper of all of that. So it's not on my watch list, I'll put it that way.
Well, it's fascinating watching things like that. I'm not a big reality TV fan, but I see it occasionally from time to time. But watching things like that and then watching your show, which is this behind-the-scenes look at all the drama of a reality dating TV show, did you do any kind of research or look into that prior to coming into this, as like just to get background on what goes on there? Or
yeah, not as much. I mean, sort of our ace in the hole is Sarah Shapiro, who's one of the co-creators of the show with Marti and Noxon, and she had worked on The Bachelor for several seasons. And the show was inspired by her short film, Sequin Rays, which was very much inspired by her time on The Bachelor. So, you know, for those sorts of things, we definitely, you know, look to Sarah. But it's been one of the most gratifying things is that we hear from a lot of people who work on reality TV shows that it's very accurate, it's very lifelike. And some of that is visual, you know, that we allow people to look kind of gnarly and look the way you look after you've been working for so many hours on set. And the sort of lighting aspects where we go from the beautiful butterfly people to the mole people who are working behind the scenes. And some of it, I guess, is the producing that goes on.
And it really does succeed as a character drama, like you said. I mean, it is first and foremost that. So talk a little bit about the ways in which the characters developed this season.
In season 2?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, well, we always break the story starting with Rachel and Quinn and where do we see them and what is the story that we want to tell. And what we were looking at a lot in the season is women at work and what is it like. First of all, I mean, it's a family, it's a work family, and especially when you're on set, all those hours, those people in that place starts to mean a lot to you. But for Rachel specifically, I mean, from the beginning of the series, for her to come back to work in this place where she'd had such a sort of traumatic experience already, you know, that was what was interesting to me about this series from the beginning is here is a woman who, you know, thought that she would go to work on PBS and sort of woke up and found herself as a producer on Everlasting and kind of hates herself for the fact that she's there, but also for the fact that she's really good at it. And she kind of gets off on the fact that she is good at it and that it makes her feel powerful, but it's also a place that she really belongs. And so then as we started the second season, she was promised a promotion by Quinn. And so we often look at that too. What is the role of ambition for women in the workplace? And then what was that like when the promotion was just ripped out from underneath her? And how does she manage to still stay? And what she had planned to do for the season with the first African-American suitor on Everlasting was really important to her and was enough to sort of keep her there. But then we also looked at the allure of the princess fantasy for both Quinn and Rachel, like despite all of their best laid plans of focusing on the work and how important that is to them, they both sort of get sucked into relationships. For Rachel, it was with Coleman, this guy who, despite the fact that he comes in and he's sort of the boss that she never thought she was going to have, he's in many ways like her perfect guy. And that becomes very seductive in the same way that, you know, Quinn meets John Booth and he's seductive in the same way. And then that's a whole other area to explore of the princess fantasy and what is the right guy. And, you know, for Rachel, Coleman really turned out not to be the guy that she thought he was. And so then he had to die. But we do we do tell a joke. It's like he invited her to come to his family's wedding on Martha's Vineyard, and then he took that invitation away. And you're just not allowed to invite a girl to Martha's Vineyard and then pull that invitation, because if you do, then you deserve to die.
So you wrote 3 episodes from this past season, and it's the second episode of the season. That's the one that you're submitting for Emmy consideration. Is that right? Insurgent?
Okay, yeah.
So talk a bit about that episode, and I guess what stands out about it for you and your work.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Well, you know, there was a lot of discussion at the beginning of the season, as there is, you know, has been in the 3rd season too, but there's a lot of discussion about how quickly we need to bring our characters back to everlasting, and how much you can focus on where Quinn and Rachel have been sort of between seasons. So episodes 1 and 2 in some ways are kind of a package of the season, because the first episode is really a lot of going to get the suitor, convincing the network to accept a Black suitor for the first time, then, you know, this promotion that Quinn quickly takes away. And so my episode, the 2nd episode, was very much like the first night of everlasting. So you really get to meet the characters, the contestants, at least those characters, in a greater detail. And you know, the first Black suitor is a big part of that. And then also having Ruby versus Beth Ann. I mean, Ruby was the sort of Black activist, super smart, driven woman who kind of had to be hoodwinked into coming onto the show, and Beth Ann, the Confederate flag bikini wearing contestant, and the two of those going up against each other. So, and then of course the introduction of Coleman at the end of the 2nd episode, and you know, everything that Rachel thought she was going to have is just turned upside down.
Well, you also, in that episode, you delve deep into the relationship between Quinn and Rachel, and I mean the mentor-mentee relationship, and you see, spoiler alert, Rachel going behind Quinn's back,
right,
to try to usurp her. So I mean, you really do explore that dynamic pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, it's complicated. You know, we like to, you know, not worry about the likability of these characters, but a lot of these issues are the real issues that women face at work. And when you have your own ambition and your own dreams and goals, how do you meld that with a mentor, as you say, and someone who's been there for you when you feel like they're doing the wrong thing? And how do you think of yourself and that relationship at the same time? So these are all, I think, really complicated issues that we often see men get to deal with on television, and we're excited to have women do it. I mean, women at work is kind of an obsession of ours, so it's interesting to keep looking at it.
Speaking of which, you are the showrunner for season 3. So you're the Rachel of the show.
Or the Quinn.
Or the Quinn, yeah.
Yeah.
What has that experience been like for you, running this upcoming season?
Yeah, I mean, it's been incredible. You know, I've been with the show since the very beginning. And I'd worked with Marti Noxon once before on another show, and she sort of brought me in to UnReal, because she knew she had a second show that she was doing and wouldn't be around a lot. So I was right in the trenches with Sarah Shapiro, you know, writing this from season 1. And so now it sort of just feels great in the 3rd season to sort of, you know, step into my own, as it were, and guide the show. And what I've been focusing on a lot from the writing perspective is that there were a lot of really big plot moves in season 2, and certainly a really big plot move that we left them with at the end of the season. And I wanted to give us time to really sit with the consequences of those plot turns, and to start in the sort of sit with Rachel and Quinn and see what effect those things were going to have on them and how they were going to deal with that moving forward. So that's what we really focused on. And then, of course, this may be spoiler alert, but we have a feminist suitress. So we're doing a female suitor, and it's played by Caitlin Fitzgerald, who is a fantastic actress from Masters of Sex and Rectify. And it's, again, allowing us to take a look at these issues for women because she's a smart, strong, successful woman who for some reason is still single, and no one is more mystified about why that is than she is. And she sort of finds like the more successful she gets, the harder it is to find a guy. You know, why is that? And we had pitched that season to the network before Trump was elected president. So back when everybody thought that Hillary Clinton was still going to be president of the United States, and everyone sort of was saying, are these issues really still relevant? You know, is sexism dead, basically? But I was very interested in all of the vitriol that Hillary Clinton had faced on the campaign trail. And, you know, there's a line in our first episode where Rachel tells Serena, you're smart, pretty, and successful. Half of America already hates you. And I think that's very true. So that's sort of where we start the third season, and it gives us an opportunity to look at those issues for Rachel and Quinn as well.
It's funny how many people I talked to recently doing TV who say that the election had a big impact on their shows, or that they're, you know, surprised by how relevant their shows have become suddenly.
Yeah, unfortunately.
You know, this show really took people by surprise when it first came on. I mean, for people like myself and others who aren't big reality TV fans, who found themselves really captivated by this story. Why do you think the show had such an immediate impact on viewers? Well, it's interesting. I mean, I think, first of all, they're just great characters, and it was great to see, you know, as some publications said, the sort of female Breaking Bad, to see women who were allowed to behave badly. And, you know, the sort of bad people make good TV tagline had a lot of deliciousness to it. And I do think that there was enough interest in The Bachelor and those kinds of shows, and everyone sort of knew that they were not all real or produced, if not scripted, and it was sort of fun to pull back the curtain on that. But I think we were also trying to look at something bigger in society, which is, what are we saying to women about who you're supposed to be and who you're supposed to love and who you need to be in order to be loved. And there were just two great female characters who were taking us on that journey. I mean, Constance Zimmer as Quinn King is incredible. I mean, she sort of says everything that you wish you could say and has the comeback that we all wish we could have in those moments. But she also infuses the part with, I feel, such heart and such vulnerability, and you really see, you know, what's driving her, so that she gives a character that could come off as sort of, you know, brash with another actress, such dimensionality. I mean, I think she's just so human in the role, which is incredible. And Shiri Appleby is, I believe, a revelation as Rachel. I think it's the best thing she's ever done in her career. You know, so much of her story always is beneath the surface and plays as subtext, and she's just incredible. I mean, what she can communicate with a look or a silent moment is just, to me, so beautiful. So we really just, you know, got so lucky with those women. And you guys won a Peabody Award for this in the first season, I think it was. Yeah. Emmy nominations for Constance Zimmer and for the writing in the first season. What did that recognition mean for you guys? Oh my gosh, it was incredible. I mean, I have to say, like, in the first season, I was not aware as we were making the show. I didn't think like, oh, we're making something really revolutionary. I just thought, these are complicated, messed up women, as I am a complicated, messed up woman, as everyone I know is a complicated, messed up woman. So it just felt really real to me. And it felt exciting to be able to write from that place. And certainly there were these big sort of, oh my God moments and big twists and turns. And that was really fun to write too. But we had no idea that we were going to have that kind of an impact. So to be recognized in that way was just a dream come true. I mean, it was so exciting to be taken seriously, really, in that way, you know, and to have people relate to it so much. Well, it's a great show, and congratulations on it. I look forward to seeing more. Stacy, thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much.